to Let's Talk Money with Wendy Silebi. It's a new year, a new season, new opportunity to plan and execute your financial plans. We are returning this year bigger and better. So please help me grow the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and also liking. There's a like button. Please do that so that we can grow our channel. Today we are talking all things vision boards, goal setting, and also setting financial boundaries. My guests today are powerful young ladies who are movers and shakers in their own right. Please help me welcome Minah Tshidi and Tshidi. Hi, ladies.
Hello, Mama.
Thanks for gracing me with your presence. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves, share as much or as little as what you'd like, what you're comfortable with. We'll start with Minah.
Thanks for having me. My name is Minah Tshidi, as you said. I was born, bred, and battered in Naledi, Soweto. I am a chartered accountant by profession. Work as a head of finance in one of the divisions, in one of the big banks. It's a true story. I recently obtained my MBA. Exciting but daunting journey. Married, mother to 2 boys. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Minah, for that introduction. I think I've known Minah for many years, even before becoming a CA. And it's just been such a pleasure for me to see you grow and achieve so much, And Tshidi, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Tshidi. I'm from Kingwanyana Mopedi, born and bred in Soweto, Kimulobedu actually. I'm a certified life coach and NLP practitioner. I think for now that's enough.
And I also add content on Power FM.
Oh, you want to take it there? You want to take it there? Okay, let's take it there. Okay, as we start again, I'm a certified life coach and NLP practitioner. I'm a podcaster as well. I'm a content creator on about 6 radio stations in the country. We're not giving them air because they're not paying us enough. And then also for the SABC on a few of the stations, channels.
Awesome.
SABC channels, yes.
Yeah, no, thanks, ladies. So, a topic for today, we're talking vision. We're talking vision boards. Everywhere I look, people are having the breakfast, the picnic, the whatever, got the vision boards. So I thought it's important that we, anyway, at the beginning of the year, talk about vision, talk about these vision boards, and maybe just unpack, or do people just do these vision boards and then they're on the walls or in their bedrooms or wherever they put them and never implement them? So I just want us to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about a subject that I believe is hectic as well, financial boundaries. Boundaries that we set with our families, with our friends, and our acquaintances. So that's basically what we'll be talking about. So maybe let's start with a definition of what you, how you define vision. So I'll start and say, my favorite definition is by Dr. Miles Monroe. And I quote, he says, vision is when you see it in your mind. When you see it in your mind, and then you begin to imagine it. So I'm that kind of a person. When I think of something already in my mind, if you do one of these, it's called the Enneagram. I'm a 7 there. So we're visionaries. You think of something, then already in your head you can see it planning out. You actually see the beginning to the end and the success thereof. And in that process, you can lose a lot of people. But I think I want to bring it down to say my favorite one is that once you see it in your mind, then you can imagine it. Yours? Definition, maybe? It doesn't have to be a quote, but how you think about vision.
Well, it's somewhere along the lines of what you've just said. Mine is by one of my favorite ministers in the country. He says, vision is a picture of your preferred future. So vision is basically what you envision yourself or what you see yourself becoming. And as you've just said, now you are what we call a visual person. So you dream in pictures. You need to first see it before you can achieve it. So a vision is basically, where do I want to see myself? And as you are thinking where you want to see yourself, you are building this beautiful little pictures in your mind that eventually become a holistic picture or a full picture, but they're made up of little things, whether you do those daily, monthly, weekly, but at the end of the day is this beautiful big picture. As I'm closing my eyes, I'm having a vision of what I'd like to achieve for this year. So a vision is what you see yourself becoming in the short, near, or even distant future.
Awesome. Sure. Like that. Hey, you said a lot.
She said everything.
We can unpack it.
We can unpack it.
As time, as we go through the conversation, we'll definitely unpack it.
Yeah. And yours, man?
Definitely that. I think simplified is what do you see? So, and I like to keep things that short and simple so that it's something that you can easily run with, so for me it's always, what do you see? And what I say to people, because people now, you're right, beginning of the year, we're talking goals and whatever, I always say keep it short and keep it simple. What do you see? What do you see in the next 12 months? What do you see in the next 3 years? Vision is that, it's sight. What do you see?
Actually, one of the definitions I looked at this morning was saying, it's such a sad thing for somebody whose eyes are open, but they are blind, so basically you have no vision about what you want your life to become, and so maybe because we're talking finances, I just want to bring it a little bit to how does having a clear vision contribute towards a person's financial success?
So having a clear vision, number one, I think for me, it builds your why. It helps you build your why. It drives your actions. It drives what do you do. It drives who you associate yourself with. It drives what you spend your time doing. So bringing it back to financial vision, if we should call it that, it means it decides for me what I do with my money, how I spend my money, what financial commitments I put myself into.
I like that, hey, the big why, because many people go through life without having determined what their why is, especially when it comes to finances. In my upcoming book, I talk about how, when we are born, think about this. I mean, when we get born, right? We don't even choose. Okay, you are there, and then you find yourself in your mother's womb for 9 months. You are comfortable there. When you kick, somehow the mom's instincts knows, no, I must eat, I must drink water. So your life is very comfortable there, And then one day, out of the blue, there's a force that pushes you out, and then you come out, and then you see these lights like this light we have here, and then you see these weird people. Remember, in your mother's womb, it was nice, fuzzy, quiet, kwena fela, kicking around and doing whatever. And then all of a sudden, these weird people in blue and whatever, baba scream, and that's why kids come out screaming and crying, because they don't understand where they are and why they are here. And it's amazing that as we grow, our parents never ever sit us down to say, why were you born? Or why are you here? What are our plans for you? So you just go through life, no, get a good education,
Yes,
get a university, then go get, and then the day you graduate, you think, yeah, I made it. And then out of the blue, no, get married. The pressure. And then you just grab any person, you get married. Wow. And then when you get married, have children. Like, there's never the why part. Sure. And it is a tragedy that we can start work and probably get to retirement without understanding the big why. Power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe also, I mean, I know that there are areas when you are setting or when you are thinking about your goals, or when you have a vision. I mean, there's certain areas like relationships, educational, community, spiritual, family. You know, people set those goals. Do you do that, or do you just focus on your finances, on your financial goals, or do you even have financial goals? Let's start there.
Wow. So now, like, you've sandwiched me as the finance people. Wow. Actually, I think I do, and it's just, it's a recent thing that I started doing after I found myself in a very uncomfortable financial status. That's when I decided, okay, let's do, as a coach, there's what we call the 4 bums on the chair. It's the what, the where, the when, and the why. So I had to really sit down and say, what is it that I'm planning to do or planning to achieve in all areas of my life? Like you said, financially, spiritually, socially even, relationshipically, and all of those. And then it was the, when do I want all of this? So as soon as I found the when and the what, it was the how do I get there. Then I had to sit down and financially had to budget for the first time in my life. In my late 30s, for that matter, I started budgeting. Me, I'm that person that I see something, if I want it, I will get it. Well, the previous me.
Thank you
previous
for
me.
that disclaimer.
The previous me. But I did mention that I have just recently started doing this. So I was one of those people, get me into a mall, when I walk out, I've got everything that I don't need. I was that reckless with my finances. Then I had to discover the why. Why do I want this? Why is this important to me? Once I figured out the why, it was very easy for me to let go of certain habits, to let go of even certain people, because I realized that this group of people is leading me into a place that I don't want to be. And in order for me to avoid that place, I need to let go of these people. And shocking enough, some of the people were even family. Right? Because I was this person. Right? Tshidi, give me this and that. I don't have. I would rather hurt myself to give to that person and just so they are happy. And with my friends as well. And we know there's a quote that says, as a giver, you need to set limits, because the receiver or the taker has no limits. They will want to take even when there is nothing to take. So I found myself in a situation where I had to scrape, I had to eat from my own crumbs, because I was giving the best to other people. And it wasn't healthy, because now I was even getting sick. It was even affecting my mental health, because here I am, I'm employed, but what do I have to show for it? Here I am, I've got these big dreams, but I'm not getting there. It looks like every one step I take forward, there's 20 steps backwards. So I really had to go into a state of isolation where I had to say, introspection, girl. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you allowing this to happen to you? And it's very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie and say it's easy, because imagine you've been saying yes all your life. Now suddenly you're saying no. It's even a shock to your system. What just happened?
No? Yeah, I just said no. Yeah.
What happened? The more I did it, the more comfortable I got with it, and the more it started to make sense, and the more it felt good. Now I even say no with a smile. I'd be like, even if I've got, I'm like, no, because why? I don't want to. And I'm at a space where I even say no without explaining myself. I don't owe you an explanation. If you want something from me and I don't want to give it to you, I'll just smile and say, nah, not today. And I'm comfortable with that because I know why I'm doing it, and I know how it's going to help me, and I know what I stand to benefit.
You know, in episode 2 that we did, by the way, I think this is episode 16 or 17. Episode 2, we spoke about mental health, you know, how, you know, if you don't have boundaries, I don't want to go to the boundaries conversations as yet, but if you don't have those boundaries of saying no, you can find yourself having anxiety, depression, because you are out there helping everybody else but yourself. And it brings me to the conversation we had in episode 3, where we spoke about the money archetypes and the power of you knowing your money archetype, so that you can start working, you know, with yourself to make sure that nobody abuses you. Because people do know our money archetypes before we even recognize ours, and then they actually use that to their advantage. So I'm quite impressed that you came to that place, because I think you and I have got more or less the same archetype, and I've recently as well learned, and this month here, January, it has been hectic. Me having to say no. I don't know how many no's I have given, but I've slept well. Because before I would think that you're evil, but why don't I just? But the requests were just coming in. I'm like, but first and foremost, I'm a pensioner. Why are all these requests coming to me? Hey, you know. So. Yeah, you've really, you know, touched me there by saying you've come to that place. And just to maybe build on what you said, Minah, I mean, when you spoke about your why, it gives you a purpose, you know. And when you have a purpose-driven life, you know, then that purpose contains you. It becomes a compass for your life. Because you have got those 4 bumps on the seats, the what, the when, the why, and the who, how, and whatever, you are able then to manage your life, you know, and you've got this purpose that you're working towards, and you actually put blinkers. You don't care what's happening to the left and to the right, and then you focus. So I think that's what's important for all of you that are watching, to say, set your goals, have a vision, you know, answer your big why. And maybe even when Tshidi spoke, you know, you mentioned a little bit about goals, you know, to say you have to break down your goals. You know, you can't wake up today, you've just finished your matric, and then in 12 months' time I want to be a medical doctor. That does not work. So you have to pace yourself. And maybe just to bring you into the conversation, how do you set your goals? Because your goals in such a way that they also support your vision and that big why you were talking about.
Before I go into that, I wanted to say, not saying no or created dependencies sometimes. And sometimes I say no just for that. So that, because sometimes people can be abusive. If you say yes once, then next time, even when they are not so desperate, motho a batla fela go ya ko malling, and you know, something that's not even a matter of life and death, then they are back at your doorstep. So sometimes I say no just for that, to say asintoya every day. I did help you that time because I am a good person and you really needed it. But that was not to create a dependency. So that's the danger, not being able to say no.
By the way, Minah, the more you say no, they don't hear no. They hear yes. And they come back.
They hear next time. Next
time. She said no today. Tomorrow she'll have.
Yeah. And second, I wanted to say, if you don't say no, if you don't make goals for yourself, other people will make goals for you.
Yeah.
The next thing, building project that was never part of your but now somehow it's on your lap. So that's the danger of not creating goals. People will make plans for you. If you are not set in your direction, then any other direction that anybody who wants you to take along with them will take you. So back to the question on how I set my goals. Like I said, I like to simplify my life. I passed maths with flying colors because I simplified things. I keep on not something is complicated for me. I find a way to make it easy. So I do that with goals at work. To set goals for myself. But even at work, I'm thinking about work, to say I find methods that are simple for me to understand and to be able to articulate. I keep them simple and I keep them short. So, and I won't have a long list. Like this year, for instance, I had 2 things on my list because I don't like to overwhelm myself. So I'll say to myself this year, just 2 things that I want to achieve financially. I'll do something that will keep me committed, something like setting a stop order, for instance, doing a budget. Actually, doing a budget, it does not sound so much like setting a goal or setting a boundary, but it is for yourself and for yourself internally and for the people outside you. But I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it inside, and I like to make it attractive. I'm reading a book now. I'm reading Atomic Habits, and he talks about how to make your habits, make them attractive. Make them easy, make them accessible for the good habits that you're trying to build. But he says for the bad habits that you're trying to get, make it hard. You like to save money and then put it in something like 32 days. Do you know what I mean? So you don't realize that you're actually making make it difficult for you to be able to access your money. So I keep it simple. Yeah.
I like that. I also had 4 goals for this year because 2 I couldn't complete last year. So I brought them forward. Because I think the power as well is that when you've set goals and you haven't achieved them, don't dump them and then move on to new goals. Because rather, that's for me, that works for me. Rather bring them across, and this year I've focused on those. And amazingly, it's the end of Jan and I've already ticked one off.
Wow.
It's quite amazing.
Wow.
So what I want to say, to those that are watching us, is that once you've set these goals, implement them and then go back and review, so that you are able to see, okay, I had 3, I only managed to do 1. And maybe do a reflective thing to say, how come I didn't achieve this? What happened? Where did I fall short? And then what is it that I'm going to be focused on this year to make sure that I achieve that? So then that way, you haven't wasted time, Yeah.
You see the hand. You see the hand. And I just wanted to add to what you're both saying. To say one of the major reasons as well that we don't reach the goals is we don't know how to set the goals. So just as a practical thing, the coaching is just, and I promise I don't want to be a coach today. But we have what we call SMART goal setting, which is an acronym, right? The S says be specific. Is your goal specific enough? By just reading that goal, are you able to know what it is that I'm going to achieve this year? And then for the whole SMART, we'll use the simple goal of I want to lose weight. So you're saying I want to lose weight. Is it specific? It's not specific. How much weight do you want to lose?
By
Right?
when?
You know, then we get into the M. The M says measurable. So you want to lose weight. Will you be able to measure how far you've come? Do you have a measuring tape? Do you have a scale? Or are you going to use your old clothes? I love using clothes. Or I'll buy a dress 2 sizes smaller or a size down, because then I will use that dress. Believe me, it's new, it still has a tag. So I will make sure I measure it myself. Then it's the A. The A, is it attainable? And one of the big mistakes that we make is, when I say is it attainable, can you attain the goal by yourself, or do you need external factors or external people? So if by reaching this goal I'm going to need somebody to do something in order for me to do that, then it's not my goal. It's no longer about me. It has moved from me. So is it attainable? The R stands for, is it realistic? We overwhelm ourselves. I love what Minah is saying. I like to keep it simple. I don't want to get overwhelmed. By saying, is it realistic? This is me in my full self today. Imagine say next week I want to be a size 32. Hello. But I'm setting myself up for failure. Or because it's impossible unless I go under the knife. Even with the knife, I'm not going to be a size 32 next week. So that's what we do. We get excited and we write things down, and then we get overwhelmed and we get disappointed. And one of the other reasons we don't go back to setting goals is, I set impossible goals this year. I didn't achieve them. Next year, when it comes to goal setting, I'm like, the mind takes you back to say, who do you think you are? You didn't, The last one, the T, time bound.
When?
I win. Do you want to lose the weight? So with the simple thing of goal, setting the goal of weight loss, I want to lose 10 kgs by the end of September. It's already a SMART goal, because you know what you want to do, when you want to do it. You have the tools, how much of it you want to lose, and you've already bought your your scale or your measuring tools, or that one size smaller dress that you've got. And you have, other people will say they'll take this and that, they'll take supplements and whatnot. When you start that goal, you need to have ticked all of those things to say, okay, I am certain what I want, how to get there, and by when I want to get there. And that's the easiest way to achieve your goals. And it goes back to what Minah was saying. It's then simplified, because now you have small steps that you're going to take in order for you to get to the losing the 8 kgs by not next week.
I think I like the fact that you are saying, make sure that the goals that you are setting don't need external people, because these are your goals.
Yes.
So 2 weeks ago we started walking, my neighbor and I, and so I proved in the last 2 days that this is actually my goal. It's not our goal, because she wasn't around for the past 2 days, and I actually woke up and I even did more kilometers than I do when I'm with her. So basically it's as simple as that. Check if this goal group or is it your
conference call.
Yeah, and especially if it's financial goals, because we're talking finance here. You can never, you can save in a group with other people, but in the final analysis, the goal is yours.
It's yours.
Everybody that maybe joins in the group, like Ronaldi Stockfels, and you're saving together, each and every person has got their own personal goals. So I really like how you simplified the SMART goals, very, very simple. Yeah. So I want us to get to the vision board. So you are hosting a breakfast sometime in Feb on vision boarding. So maybe just take us through what should one expect, and maybe what do we need to make a vision board, and then support that one. that the finances are on. Because, you know, I've always seen people, their vision boards are on the wall, there's a ring, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a tall hunk there's a car, but then I don't see a financial plan underneath the top. So maybe just take us through what you'll be doing and what people can also expect, and how do you put together a vision board that will actually become a living vision board, not a poster
vision board. Talk about putting me on the spot there. So change minds. Now I'm committed to it.
Yeah, no, you are.
So a vision board is just visual representation of the goal. So you've written down what it is that now you want to achieve for the year. So the vision board comes in, it's a picture representation. So everything that you had written down, you take pictures, you cut off pictures, or you can even write. Minah was talking about make it attractive, right? I love colors as well. What do they call it? Is it a photographic or photo? That my mind is like that. I see in pictures, bright pictures. So if you want me to do something for you, send me pictures, then I'll remember. I'm very bad with words. So I'm a visual person. So the vision board, this is the board. You have all these different pictures that you put on. Also going back to set dates on it, because if it's just pictures there, it means nothing. If there's no date to it, you can easily 5 years down the line you have not achieved that goal, because there's nothing pushing you. There's no pressure. Like, I want a Mercedes Benz. When do you want it? You know, just putting there 2024 is not good enough. It's not enough. You need to say 2024 June. I want this Mercedes Benz. How you bring the finances into it. In the instance where you see the ring and the tall hunk, and now we've thrown in the Mercedes Benz, you need to start looking at your credit worthiness, something that people don't even look at. Am I credit worthy? Right? And then people think it stops there. Just because TransUnion and all that say you can afford, you think I'm good to go. But are you good? You know? Because people fall in love with the idea of I was pre-approved. The pre-approval works on your credit score. They don't know the intricacies of your bank statements or your finances. So once you've said, okay, I've now checked my credit score looks good, then you go back and you bring it a bit home. I remember having this conversation with a cousin of mine. I said to her, the easiest way to see if you can afford something is to be real with your finances. Take a page, print out your bank statements, which
and
is
a pen.
And a pen. I took it home. I brought it home. It was a very painful exercise for me to do. Then what you do on there, you write down not your gross salary, your net net salary.
Gross doesn't work.
Because see how, you know, after everything has been done, what comes into your bank account? Then you write that one down. Skiruta to basic accounting, ne? We have Minah here will assist us.
Budgeting 101.
How fair you from your bank statements, you look at your debit orders, because with the net income there, the debit orders it's just your money. Then you write them down, and then reality will hit, because we want 5,000, 1,000, because now you realize you don't even have the money that you think you have. Over and above the debit orders, there's still have I bought food? Right? Then there's the petrol to work, or if the public transport, whatever. Then all of that, you put it down. Then there's this amount that you have left. That's your living expenses amount, right? Then in the instance of buying the house or the car or whatever, there's a friend of mine that once said, if you're looking to buy a house, go out, we'll rent, maybe for 6 months or so. An rental amount equivalent to the bond that you're going to be paying. Or if you don't want to go rent, put it aside.
Take it out, yeah.
Yeah,
And see if you survive.
I see how. So the mistake that we make is thinking, or another mistake that we make is, you get an increase, right? Increase your 8 hour. Then you are thinking, ngiyayilanda le Benz ye 8,000, forgetting ukuthi the 8,000 is just on paper.
Yeah.
And it has, unfortunately, what we don't realize as well is it pushes you into another tax bracket.
Also,
Qualification, being qualified does not mean, when they say you qualify for an amount, it
yes,
doesn't mean you
can
afford
yes,
the amount.
yeah. So hence this exercise here, writing down, and then also going to the extent of, in the 6 months, if I put this money aside, is my living, quality of living or quality of life going to be changed? So if now uphela soft life, but as soon as that 8,000 rand ya bond or whatever it's not for you. Like manako khaye, like mamela, not this year, it's not for you. And until you get to such a point where you are comfortable, and you said just now a powerful thing to say, last year there were 2 things that you did not achieve, but you carried them forward to this year. If at this point in time you can't afford, save it 6 months later, come back again and say, am I at a better place? Can I afford to do this? And that's what we fail to do.
Thanks, Tshidi. You've done what I always talk about, and I love it because it doesn't matter what the topic is that we have, the budget comes in, whether you're talking about credit or emotions and money, whatever, the budget always comes in. And this is one, tool that people avoid to use. And unfortunately, this is the only tool that works, that will lead you to achieving whatever goals that you've set. So I just want us to bring our conversation to an end.
Already.
We are almost there. We're having
quick.
fun. So I want to talk about boundaries, financial boundaries. And Minah,
sure.
I read this book that talks about boundaries. And in this book, they talk about, to bring it closer to home. They talk about how, especially when we were growing up, stop nonsense. Those are boundary walls. And we put them up because we are saying this far and not far. And a lot of people struggle with setting financial boundaries. What's your take on that?
Very important. And I guess, Lynn Knight, it's taken me a while, right? And because I guess for some of us with how you are brought up, being raised by our grandparents, and when you start now being independent, of course you have a responsibility, to take care of the people at home and so forth. But you need to know, like you're saying, boundaries help you to say, I'm not going to be reckless. I'm not going to abandon my family. I'm not going to abandon my people. But based on what I can afford, based on what I can do, this is how much I can help. And I can't. You need to realize, you need to come to a point where you're like, I know what am I responsible for to you? This book boundaries, it talks about making a distinction between what am I responsible for and people you are responsible to. Make that differentiation very fast. It's going to help you to say, actually, I am responsible to my grandmother. I am responsible making sure that she doesn't go hungry, that she's comfortable and her basic needs are met. But that people must deal with themselves. And that's where boundaries come. I am not responsible to feed, for instance, your addictions. We need to bring those things into perspective to say, if you had built a particular lifestyle, and that's not my responsibility to help you to maintain. This is tough, hey? And boundaries are tough because boundaries is not what you know, and literally, you know, and or sometimes make you look like you are being disrespectful, you know, but literally it's also helping them to say, but liwena, you know, push. Liwena, this one you are responsible for it. It is your responsibility to wake up and go look for a job. It is your responsibility to say, if Kiriki afford a whole 100 rand, that's it. Ke responsibility ya gago to ensure hore tshwanetse ka tšhelete e ba mphileng yona ke fitlhemo, and that's why I was talking about dependencies earlier on. So you need to be very clear in your mind and very resolute. And I mean, I was sharing with you just the other week, you know, how sometimes you just have to be like, I'm not responsible for this, you know. I'm responsible towards you for this and this. Mara go fella mo. Come on.
And I think it's important that you communicate as well.
Yes.
Banaba mama, whoever. I am going to give you 2,000 rand.
Yes.
Come rain or the sun is shining. No matter what happens, you are guaranteed to receive 2,000 from me. And not more, because that's what I can afford.
Yes.
I think the mistake we make is that we don't communicate. Because if you communicate, then you also manage the expectations. What's again beyond that, I can't. No, what about the fridge? 2,000. From the 2,000, link 500. Please save it until you can buy that fridge. What are you doing? You're also teaching them to budget. You're also teaching them responsibility. You are teaching them to take accountability, for them to know what our grandmothers used to say, for money doesn't grow on trees. It's true. If I give you this amount, then make do with it. Because I think that's where, as you say, you know, there are problems. And then, you know, all of a sudden, everybody's in your business. Hey, tusa malume, tusa nkhono, tusa mama. And you're thinking, but and for us who work in financial institutions, people think you walk in the morning, you type it in the vault, and then you go in there and you take whatever money. So it's so important that we must build those boundaries and make sure that we keep to them. And then, you know, we don't have what people start calling black tax, because once it's because, you know, you failed to put up the boundaries, and probably it was very difficult and you were not able to communicate, because some of our parents are hectic. Telling them, I can't do this is a nightmare. So there you have it, Bahesu. I don't know if you want to add something very quickly on the boundary story. And as a coach, I mean, if you were coaching someone, maybe let's bring in the coaching aspect. If you were coaching someone who really is unable to build boundaries, what would you?
Boundaries also, Mama. I think one of them, there's many factors that contribute to us not being able to set boundaries. Others, I think the main also is trauma, right? Traumas in how we were raised, and traumas in how we've gotten used to doing stuff. So now suddenly you are doing something that is out of, you know, or you once tried it. People think trauma are these big things. Trauma can be anything. Trauma can be, I asked Minah for something, I don't know. Trauma for me, traumatic for me. Like, you know, as you said, in the black families, saying no to a parent, no, it's a big thing. So how to no, maybe some ukila no to a parent in your early days, traumatic. So now every time you say, you're thinking of saying no, it takes you back to that day when you said no, bahoshapa. So it becomes a trauma for you, whereas you don't even want to try. So let's look at what is it about saying no that makes you feel uncomfortable? What is it about saying no that immediately sends you into a panic? Sometimes it's we call it limiting beliefs. The beliefs about ourselves that we have. I'm unable to, or I cannot, or I don't have the capacity to. So first look at, why am I so shaken about the no?
What are your triggers?
Triggers. So once you deal with that, then you will easily be able to deal with the trauma, the trigger, and everything else that is associated with it. And then you are able to say no. If you are failing, no coach sees you guys. Call me.
Just
Well,
on
how?
this, when she talks about things that make us unable to say no, is sometimes you need to ask yourself why you do things for people.
Yeah.
Because I find
People-pleasing.
that yes, it's accepted. I want them to love
validation.
and then how better. Let's not go into those things.
Yeah,
but
no.
I'm just
It's
saying,
another
people,
topic for another
you must
day.
check your motives.
Yeah.
I think we must come back and
Definitely.
So ladies, we've come to the end of the we need 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wisdom that you've shared today. And normally at the end of my sessions here, we always ask our guests to scatter seeds of wisdom. A nugget that when people think of Minah, they'll remember your parting shots. When they think of Tshidi, they'll remember the parting words that you spoke that will lodge in their spirits. And every time they touch their money, they think of you. So,
It's all about money. Remember, let's talk money when this lady said,
so
comes
I'd
back
like
to money.
to just get your nugget,
Sure.
your seed, scatter wisdom.
And this is from a previous people pleaser, is to say, be clear on your why, with your goals. As I said when I started, I think for me that's a big thing. Understand why you do the things you do. Make sure that they come from a place of purpose. Look, life can be hard, on most of us, but continue to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and believe in yourself. Really,
Awesome.
keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Sure. For me, I would say, you remember that you are allowed to be both a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously.
Wow.
And that simplified is, there are areas in your life that you still to work on and that you're continuously learning on. And in the same breath, there are areas that you have mastered. Be content with both. The one does not have to outweigh the other. You can be both of them in one day, and it is acceptable.
Wow, there you have it. Such wisdom, eh? Wow, I'm not even going to try and summarize what they said. It's too powerful for me to try and mess it around. So I'd like to say thank you, ladies, for coming through. And maybe as we close, where is the vision? When? Or okay, right where? Breakfast.
Okay, so the date, we had to shift the date a bit. But look out on my social media, Tshidi Letwane or Coach Tshidi, across all social media handles. But it's going to be in Lindhaven in Roodepoort.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Awesome. Well, we've come to the end of the session. Thank you for watching. Again, please click on the subscribe button. This year, we are on a growth journey, and I can only do that if you continue to click on that subscribe button and like the page. Thank you. Until next time.
Bye.
It's just